start with the content. I'll just get my notes. Yeah, it's all here. So hi everyone, and welcome to this live session number 162. Yes, you heard very well, which means that for the last 162 weeks, it's more than 3 years, I am here every week talking about a subject related to the engineering qualification validation here in Australia, and also about other subjects related to job recruitment, how you can get your first professional job here in Australia, and other subjects related to engineering. But first, for those that don't know me, my name is Gerson Ida, and I'm the founder of the website www.engineersinaustralia.com, a website that I created more than 3 years ago to help you in your journey, to validate your engineering qualification here in Australia. And also, even though my workshop or the videos of the workshop, they are now as an ongoing videos online, I am deciding that I'm going to do a different kind of workshop probably towards the end of August, beginning of September, which is basically going to be a series of live sessions where in probably 1 week or 5 days, we'll share with you the information that you need so you can start your validation process here in Australia. And if you want to receive information about it, I will paste the link, and you will be able to make your registration online. It's all free. You just need to put your name and your email address, and that's it. I'll show you guys later how you can do it. So let's get down to the business now, and I'm really happy to be here to share my experience in the validation process, having done the process myself back in 2005, 2006, and also my content and my mentoring program, having helped many other engineers to make their dream to come true. And perhaps still in 2022, I could help you to make your dream to come true and to become an engineer here in Australia. So first of all, I'm going to share my screen with the website, and I'm going to show you the new interface, some of the differences, but really what does it mean for you that, for example, if you knew about the old booklet, which was back in March 2020, and now this new booklet, July 2022, has it changed? Do you need to do anything different? If you were doing your process, preparing your reports, what does it mean to you? So stay with me, and we will talk about it. And if you think that this subject is relevant, please give me a thumbs up in Instagram and YouTube. I'd like to see all those hearts and likes in YouTube and Instagram. It helps me because the algorithm recognizes that the content is relevant, and it will distribute to more people that are after this type of information. So if you think it's relevant, please like it. If you don't like it, in the end, you can always dislike again. So now you guys can probably see my screen. So that's my website there, and what you need to do, you open a new tab, and then just put migration skills assessment engineers Australia. You just Google that, and you will get, probably in my case was the first result here, migration skills assessment. You just need to click on that, and you will see that even the Engineers Australia website has a new interface. So when you go that, it's already obviously because we search in the migration skills assessment. It's important, very important to read everything. But then the new booklet, there's some expandable information there that you can have a quick look. You can do your quiz to help you choose the right assessment pathway. And then here in prepare your application, you just click on the plus, and then you'll see that there's a PDF here. Prepare your migration skills assessment application. And you will be able to open it. And here you are. That's the new booklet. And you can see that this one has 11 pages. The previous one had 50 pages. Is it good? Is it bad? Because from 50 going to 11, what does that mean? Well, it means that you will see that when you go through the booklet, the information pretty much the same, but it's not really. If you print these 11 pages, you will see that there are all the links that you need to click, and obviously it will add up. For example, in the categories, where are the categories there? Occupational category. There is here the occupation category: professional engineer, engineering technologist, engineering associate, engineering manager. In the previous booklet, you had an explanation about each of those categories. In here, in this particular document, you have the titles, and then when you click and expand, it actually then opens, that's the summary statement. So the summary statement, remember that in the previous booklet, the summary statement was together with the booklet. So that's another 8 pages. So if you go back, and then if you click in the engineering technologist, you see that you also get your summary statement for the engineering technologist, which is another 8 pages. So that's why the booklet itself has got just 11 pages. But because of the links, when you expand those links, you will have more pages. But you can find the new booklet here, version from July 2022, version 1.0. So that is the updated version. So pretty much when you are looking to understand more about the booklet, please go to the new version and make sure that you follow the July 2022. All right. And also, while I am here on internet, I'll just quickly show you if you want to register to my free workshop, where I'm going to teach you how you can start your application with Engineers Australia for free. You can just go to my website, www.engineersinaustralia.com, and then you will find here, click here to register to the next free workshop. And once you click on that, you will have just a registration page. You just need to put your email, your name, and then select all that applies. I'm a Brazilian, I'm living in Australia, and register now. Simple as that. It doesn't take more than probably 10 or 15 seconds, and that's it. You're 98% confirmed. Why 98%? There are 40 seconds for 100%. There are a couple of videos there, one in Portuguese, another one in English. In those videos, I just explain that emails sometimes they don't come to you. And because the videos of the workshop I'm going to send you by email, if your email is going to the junk mail box or your spam, it's likely that you're not going to read it, and then you're going to miss out on the content. So I'm just explaining that it would be good if you could save my email address in your contacts as favorites. And also, if you join the WhatsApp group, I'm going to send the links in the WhatsApp group as well. Okay, so just going back to my notes, and we're going to go through the differences in the new version. What does that mean? So the new version, first of all, there is a new title. There's a new cover. You saw the new cover there, and there's a new title as well. So the new title is Prepare Your Migration Skills Assessment Application from July 2022. As we saw, the original one, well, not original, but the March 2020 version, which is this version here, it had 50 pages, and this one here has 11 pages plus the content in the links. And if you have any question, you can put in the comments. I will be checking the comments during the live session, so we can talk about your questions as well. Just going to open here so I can see if there's any comments there. What else is different from the appearance, apart from the new cover, the new date, and the new title? Yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of difference. The point number 2 is about preparation for your application. The new booklet advises you for a few things when you are doing your application. So very, very important. Few things, they haven't changed in the application process, and one that will never change probably is that you need to read very carefully the booklet. Not just the booklet, but also expand the links, because some of the links, they have very useful information. Take advantage of the new interface of the website, do that assessment to verify the correct pathway, and read very carefully the booklet. You also, the Migration Skills Assessment web page in Engineers Australia website is very important as well for you to read. As I keep saying to everybody, especially to my students and to you, my audience, it's very important that you read the information. I know that sometimes you could be pressed by time and you don't want to read because you think it may be a waste of time. But I can guarantee to you, if you spend half an hour, 1 hour reading the booklet, expanding the links, trying to understand, it's not going to be a waste of time. You will be saving time, because waste of time is when you choose the wrong experience, when you write the wrong career episode, and then you spend hours and hours writing, you submit your application, and your application is not approved. That is waste of time. So dedicate a few hours and some days, because you will need to read the booklet, as I keep saying, not just once, but read twice, 3 times, 5 times, 10 times. You need to read until you understand. It's like an exam. You don't go to an exam to have a very good grade if you don't study. So similar to the assessment and the validation process, if you send a not so good, not to talk about another word, a not so good application or report, the expectation is probably that your report is going to be rejected. So you need to really study and dedicate time. The booklet also has a warning about plagiarism. The booklet talks about assessment on ethical behavior. So in this case, ethical behavior is to make sure that you do your report in your own words. Unfortunately, there are many people and many companies that they are offering writing services, and that is considered to be unethical behavior from Engineers Australia, and it's considered plagiarism because it's work that was not done by you. I'm not here to give you a lecture what you need or shouldn't really do. I'm just saying that the booklet has a warning, and Engineers Australia has very good detection tools for plagiarism, and if they catch you, which they will, you can be banned up to 12, 24, or 36 months. So it means that if you are banned for 3 years, it means that in that 3 years, you cannot apply again for your validation process. And they also say that they might send your details to the Department of Home Affairs, because unethical behavior, it can even impact your character assessment. In many visas, if not all visas, Australia government, they assess your character. And if you don't have a good character, your visa could be denied. So just need to be careful about that. So that is about the preparation. In terms of English requirements, English requirements still remain the same with the 3 tests, the IELTS, general or academic, the TOEFL IBT, or PT academic. So you still can do the three tests. I saw in a recent Facebook post, somebody was asking about exemption of the English test, because in the past there was an opportunity for a letter from your employer stating that if you are fluent and competent in English, and if you're working there for some time, that letter could kind of exempt you from the English test. With the booklet that changed, and this booklet is about the migration skills assessment, but there was another category that was a stage 1 of membership eligibility that doesn't have migration purpose. In that case, you can have, or you could have, the exemption and have a letter from an employer. But if you are doing the migration skills assessment, the only exemptions in English test is if you completed at least 2 years of academic study in an Australian education institution comprised of at least 92 weeks in a CRICOS registered institution. Or if you are a citizen and hold a valid passport from the UK, from the United States, Canada, New Zealand, or the Republic of Ireland. So these are the only exemptions that you have. So for migration purpose. So the letter from the employer does not count for the migration purpose. So some people, they are giving wrong information, perhaps just to attract people so they can contact them, and then obviously they're going to sell you their services, because the important thing is to get the contact. But I am honest here, and the booklet doesn't talk about letter from the employer, never did. For the migration process, there was the letter from the employer if you were doing the stage 1 of membership eligibility, which doesn't really have a migration purpose. The other information about English test is that the test is still valid for 3 years of the date that you took the test. So if you took the test back in 2020, 2.5 years ago, you still have time. But obviously it's approaching fast. So you just got to make sure that the test is still valid, which is 3 years. And it says that you can still combine English tests if both are the same type. Let's say if you failed in one test, let's say you didn't reach the minimum band in the minimum score in reading in one test, for example, when you did IELTS. Let's say that you got 6, 6, 6, and 5.5 in reading. So you can't submit that test results because you had a 5.5, and you need to get at least 6 in each of the 4 bands. And then you sit in another IELTS test, and in that test, you get 6 in reading. And even if you get 5.5, let's say in writing, but because you combine in the two, and then the 2 test results, both they have in all bands a minimum of 6, obviously they still need to be valid within the 3 years. You can send the 2 test results, and Engineers Australia will assess that, but more likely that they will accept. The other point in the booklet are the assessment pathways, and Engineers Australia has in their website now that little quiz that you answer some questions, and then it will give you if you're eligible or not for each of those pathways. And the pathways, it's important to remember that there are pretty much 5 pathways. The first one is the Australian qualification. Obviously, if you graduated here in Australia in an accredited course in an accredited institution, you can apply directly under the Australian qualification. If you graduated in countries and institutions that they are accredited by Engineers Australia under the International Engineering Alliance, for a professional engineer, you can obviously apply under the Washington Accord. For engineering technologists, you can apply under the Sydney Accord, and for the engineering associates, you can apply under the Dublin Accord. Very important to understand that it's not just a country that needs to be a full signatory, but the year that the country became a full signatory, that's very important. If the country has become signatory, let's say in 2015, and if you graduated in 2014, even though your country is a full signatory, but because you graduated before the country became a full signatory, you still need to do the other pathway. You're not eligible to do under the accord. And it's going to be full signatory because the International Engineering Alliance, you have 2 status. One status is the provisional signatory and the full signatory. Provisional signatory means that they are signatory, but they still going to be approved as a full signatory. So if your country is a provisional signatory, it means that you still need to do the competency demonstration report, which is the 5th pathway for all other countries or courses that are not accredited by Engineers Australia. Those from Brazil, anybody from Brazil here in the audience? Or where are you from? In which country? We saw some here that they were in Brazil, others they were here in Perth. But where are you from? I'm from Brazil. I'm from Curitiba in Brazil. Yeah, Jesse, you're from Curitiba, from Brazil. Why are you speaking in English? Well, first of all, in the beginning, I'll tell you a story. In the beginning, when I started this project, Engineers in Australia, my content was pretty much just in Portuguese. So those that they follow me since the beginning, they know that I was having my content in Portuguese. Even my mentoring in the beginning was in Portuguese. And then I started to have more audience. A lot of people started to ask me the question if I could do the content in English. There were engineers from other countries, Egypt, Qatar, Philippines, India, even the Latin American countries. So they all started to ask questions if I was going to do in English. And then I decided to do in English. One, because the validation process you will need to do in English. You need to write in English. And also, I think it's a good opportunity, even though my English is not obviously native. I'm not a native English speaker. But I think that if you are learning English, and it's very expensive, you pay here, I don't know how much, $200, $250 a week for English classes. It's very expensive. So I'm thinking that if you can at least listen to some English, even though it's not a perfect English, but I think it's good enough for the purpose, your listening will improve. Somehow I'm also helping you to get a better English test results because you're listening, you're thinking, you're interpreting. So I am encouraging you guys to listen as much as English as you can. I've got many videos, especially my workshop videos. They are in Portuguese as well. I've got Portuguese and English videos for the workshop because I really need you to understand the process. But you can, if you are Brazilian, and you can watch the video in Portuguese and then understand the process, and then you can go back and watch the same video in English. Because you understand the process, you will pick up the more information. So I think it's going to be really, really beneficial for you. Okay, but then I started to just do in English. So, and here I am every Sunday, every week I do my content in pretty much in English. All right, the other point that I would like to, and don't forget to hit the like button. It doesn't cost you anything. It's free. You just hit the like button if you think that the content is interesting, and I appreciate if you do that. The other point that the booklet talks about is the categories and the occupations. So pretty much the same. You need to remember that categories, they are the 4 categories there: the professional engineer, engineering technologist, engineering associate, and engineering manager. Engineering manager is pretty much just for migration purpose. If you get approved as an engineering manager, it gives you the eligibility to apply for a visa, for example, but it doesn't give you the automatic eligibility to become a member of Engineers Australia. So if you are approved as a professional engineer, you become eligible to become a member of Engineers Australia. If you are approved as an engineering manager, you don't become eligible for membership with Engineers Australia because engineering manager is not an engineer, it's manager. So it's a different category in the ANZ SCO. And what is ANZ SCO? It's the Australian-New Zealand Standard Classification of Occupations. And that's from the Australian government, the Australian Bureau of Statistics. And those occupations, they are the same ones that the Department of Home Affairs they use, or Immigration Department. So Engineers Australia, they use the same definition as the Department of Home Affairs. So the occupations are the occupations there. For example, if you are a civil engineer, you will find the definition of a civil engineer in the ANZ SEO occupation. If you are mechanical engineer or chemical engineer, whatever engineer you are, majority of those engineers are in the ANZ SEO occupation definition. Oh yeah, Jason, but I didn't see, for example, metallurgical engineer in the ANZ SEO occupation. Yes, they couldn't really put every single engineering occupation there. So in the booklet, there is, in the ANZ SEO occupation definition, there is a category which is NEC. It's engineer, not elsewhere classified. In Portuguese would be outros. So if your type of engineering is not there, you will need to apply under the engineer NEC, not elsewhere classified. The other point in the booklet, obviously, it talks about the different reports. And as we know, there are 3 types of reports. The first one is your continuing professional development, your CPD, the career episodes, and the summary statement. And the good news is that they're still the same. Your CPD is still necessary. It doesn't really have the details that the old booklet had, but I'm assuming that's pretty much the same. So if you have the old booklet, it's still worthwhile having a look and see what are the things that are considered to be continuing professional development. In terms of the career episodes, you still have the same requirements for the 3 career episodes, and the levels of evidence are still the same. You still need to have a good and complex engineering experience. It could be work experience, it could be academic experience, it could be both. You need to provide the evidence, the support evidences as well, in terms of diagrams, pictures, tables, calculations, formulas, so photos. So all of those things you still need to provide in your career episode. And the summary statement, as I've shown a little bit earlier, you still need to do your summary statement. I had a good look at the 16 competencies in the new booklet. They are exactly the same of the 16 competencies of the older booklet. So if you started your process a few months ago and then you think, oh, now it's changed, but the process itself hasn't changed. What changed was the interface from the Engineers Australia website. The other aspect, just going to check some questions. If you have questions, write in the comments. I'm going to check now. In YouTube, it's all good there. No questions in YouTube. I'm just going to double check here in Instagram. Yeah, it's good to see that there's a lot of people interested in the live session. A lot of people joined, and yeah, Jessica from Goiânia. Hi Camilo, good to see you again. I still remember you from probably 3 years ago. In I think it was a West One event, or I think. Gus, yeah, good to see you, man. Hopefully you're better from your COVID. Felipe said in Instagram, but like a manager, it's possible to work in Australia. Yeah, good question, Felipe. For example, nowadays, even though I'm a civil engineer, I'm RPEQ, a registered professional engineer of Queensland, obviously validated, and also chartered professional engineer. Nowadays, I work as manager. I'm the operations manager of a construction company. So pretty much not just engineering manager, because obviously we deliver engineering projects, and I manage a whole team of engineers, but also I've got many senior project managers and project managers work in the company. So I am, let's say, working as an engineering manager. Just my title is operational manager. So you can work as a manager. If you are an engineer working as a manager, I'd say that you would have some advantages, because with your technical background, you probably can then make sense of many other things. And if you have good managerial skills, it gives you flexibility. One, to find a job. Two, companies that they hire managers, knowing that you are an engineer, you probably have a competitive advantage over other candidates as well. So yes, you can work as a manager. Yeah, no worries, Felipe. Juliana is asking in Instagram, can I use my projects from the uni to prove my experience? I just want to understand better your question, Juliana. Do you want your experience for points, or prove your experience as part of your validation of your qualification? Because if you want to validate your experience, you cannot use your uni projects. If you try to validate your experience, Engineers Australia, under the relevant skilled employment assessment. They were just going to validate your experience after you graduated. So before graduation, you cannot validate your experience. But if you want to prove your experience with the validation process to validate your engineering qualification using uni projects, yes, you can. It's not mandatory for you to have work experience. And many of my students from my mentoring program, even though they had some work experience, but because of work experience that they had back in Brazil, for example, the experience was not very relevant according to the ANZ SEO occupation definition. They ended up using their academic experience. So even though the academic experience is not just for those ones that graduated and never worked as an engineer. The academic experience is also for those ones that they graduated and they ended up working as an engineer in Brazil, but unfortunately the work does not match with the occupation definition here in Australia. For example, I myself, I've applied using my work experience because I had so many experience, but some of my experience was not really relevant to Engineers Australia here. For example, I did a lot of refurbishment. For example, I did refurbishments of electricity companies' agencies. I did customer service centers, telecommunication agencies, and telecommunication customer service buildings. I did a lot of that work as part of my job as a civil engineer. But refurbishment of those things, of those buildings, it doesn't really count as an experience for engineers here in Australia. So I didn't use any of those experiences. Luckily, I had other experiences in terms of calculations, in terms of roads, in terms of design work as well, that I used, and then I ended up validating with my work experience. But if you just had that experience, and unfortunately that experience cannot be used because it doesn't match with the ANZ SEO occupation definition, yes, you can use just your university projects. So that's not a problem. So Juliana is saying that she's a mechanical engineer, but she doesn't have experience. It's not a problem, Juliana. As long as you find... It's important to say also that it's not any experience from university. You need to find an academic experience which is relevant according to the ANZ SEO occupation definition as well. For example, when I did my civil engineering studies, I studied a subject called sociology in civil engineering. So it was part of the curriculum. It was a subject that everybody did, but the assignment that I did probably doesn't really match with the definition of ANZ SEO occupation definition. So please, if you do something like that, don't choose that subject. Try to choose the ones that are really using the principles and fundamentals of engineering. For civil engineers, for example, I'm talking about what I studied, theory of structures, reinforced concrete A, reinforced concrete B, pre-stressed concrete, hydrology, hydraulics, soil mechanics, and those sort of things. Roads, transport systems A, transport systems B, where you see road design and bridges and etc. etc. So that's the sort of subjects that you need to think about. And also, obviously, if you did your final assessment, your TCC, TCC is Trabalho de Conclusão de Curso back in Brazil. But if you are from another country, then you can use for example, your final assessment, which can be a research project or a case study, but it needs to be relevant in matching with the definition of ANZ SEO occupation definition. The other question there from Elias. Elias is an agricultural engineer. Can he work as a gardener in Australia to count as work in the area of agricultural engineering? Yeah, that's a good question, Elias. You need to make sure that you have a look at the curriculum, because what's the idea of the validation process with Engineers Australia? Engineers Australia, when you look at the assessment letter, it says that your qualification and the evidences that you supplied, they can verify that is your qualification is equivalent to an Australian qualification. So all the work that Australia is doing, Engineers Australia, they are doing, is to make sure that your qualification that you got overseas is equivalent to a qualification here in Australia, an Australian qualification. So if you think that as the core objective, even if your engineering occupation is not in the ANZ SEO occupation definition listing, I keep saying, think about the objective. Don't be just a parrot that will just repeat things. I'm here to clarify and to share with you so you can understand the process. If your occupation, because a lot of people say, oh, Jason, but my occupation is not in the list. So what do I need to write to prove my competencies? I say, I don't know. Because a metallurgical engineer asked me the question. I said, oh, I don't know. I'm not a metallurgical engineer. I don't know what to do. But if I was a metallurgical engineer, I would go to the some of the university's website, find that engineering course, and have a look at the curriculum to see what is an Australian qualification of metallurgical engineer will study, and what is the final outcome of that. And then I would write about the things that I did that are matching with the thing. In your question, Elias, perhaps you can work as a gardener, or perhaps you can work as a professional within the agricultural engineering industry. So if I was you, I would look. I'm not sure if it is in the definition. Okay, a quick look to see. Agricultural engineer, yes. 233912. That's ANZ SEO code. So if I was you, I would go to, maybe we can have a quick look. We can have a quick look now, Elias, see what the definition says. So another tutorial. So you just Google ANZ SEO engineer, and then got to make sure that it opens the abs.gov.au. Can you guys see the screen? So if you guys can give me some feedback, if you guys can see the screen, then I'll keep going. Can you guys see the screen? And then I'll keep going. Yeah. Yes, no. I think you can. Where is that? Yeah, can you guys see the screen? Yes, I can. All right, good. Thanks for that. So when you go there, you make sure that you open the abs.gov.au, Australian Bureau of Statistics, and then Australian Bureau of Statistics is the official website. And then you go there, and there's no agricultural engineer here. So what do? We see here other engineering professionals and see if they are here. Yes, it is here. Agricultural engineer. So let's have a look what the definition says. There's an alternative title, natural resources engineer. Performs and supervises engineering work related to the use and development of agricultural land, buildings, machines, and equipment. So this is the definition of an agricultural engineer here in Australia. So if you're going to work as a gardener or a professional working with natural resources, for example, if you can find work that you will be doing this, I'd say that it will be worthwhile, and your work could be used to write your career episodes. But if you just work as a gardener or a landscaper, probably it's not going to be complex enough for you to write your career episodes. It's going to be difficult for you to address the 16 competencies that Engineers Australia requires for engineers. So have a think about it, especially with, I don't know if gardener or landscaper, they are in other occupation lists that you can perhaps, as a tradesperson, perhaps you can validate as a tradesperson, but then you probably need to do a TAFE, a Cert 3 or a Cert 4 or even a diploma to get recognized, I think, by TRA, the trades, I don't know, I think it's a TRA. So, yeah, I'm not sure, but I would look at the definition and see if you can find work that you will be doing those sort of things if the objective of that work is to use as a career episode. All right, I'll just get my notes to see if I've got anything else there. All right, the other part in the booklet, it talks about the other services provided by Engineers Australia. So the other services that Engineers Australia provides is the PhD assessment. If you have completed your PhD overseas, you can also do that assessment there. The requirements are still the same. You gotta, submit your thesis. You gotta submit the contact details of the thesis, the panel that evaluated your thesis, and obviously all the documentation as well. And also those requirements for the PhD, they are in addition to the ones required for accredited pathways. All right. And the other assessment that Engineers Australia, they do, obviously still the relevant skilled employment assessment, that RSEA, and that is to validate your work experience so you can get more points for your migration purpose. And for that, you still need to get your reference letter on company letterhead. It's got to be after graduation, and there is a list of further evidence of employment like a tax return and statements from the Social Security, statements from the FGTS or superannuation funding, etc., bank statements, contracts, carteira de trabalho, those sort of things. All right. And just to remind you guys that I'm almost finalizing the dates of my free workshop. The free workshop, I Want to Become an Engineer in Australia, is going to be just a series of live sessions that I'm going to do towards the end of August, beginning of September. And I have already my free workshop with recorded videos in my platform. So if you are interested to if you're interested to register in the free workshop, you can register with the link that I just pasted in there. And when you register that, you will receive notification of the workshop that I'm going to do towards the end of August, beginning of September, with the live sessions. And you just need to make sure that you save my name and my email address, because sometimes you go to a spam box and then nobody obviously open the spam box. All right. Douglas in YouTube saying, hello Jason, thanks for this big help idea. Thank you, Douglas, for watching. And yeah, Elias said, can I search it in VetaSys? I think, yeah, it's either going to be VetaSys or TRA. I'm not sure. I'm not a migration agent, so it would be good if you can consult a migration agent as well, so they can give you the right advice. I think that I heard that VetaSys or TRA, they need work experience, whereas in Engineers Australia, you don't need work experience. So as an agricultural engineer, if you don't have work experience, you could use your academic experience, like Juliana said. She's a mechanical engineer without work experience, so she can use the university experience. So if you are an agricultural engineer but you don't have work experience, you can still use your university experience. All right, let's see here. I think it's all I have to say for tonight, and conscious of time. Oh, it almost 1 hour. So thank you very much, guys, for your participation. Sorry for an extended session tonight, but I thought it was going to be pretty relevant for us to have a quick chat about the new booklet. Make sure that you read the new booklet. Perhaps you don't need to throw away the old version. Keep it as a reference, especially because some of the details. But the new booklet is your new Bible, and it's important that you read it very carefully. And if you have any questions, send me a direct message on Instagram or Messenger in Facebook. Or if you go to my website, there's actually, I'm going to show you here, there's where's my website here? Here. On my website, www.engineersinaustralia.com, I actually have, I think, a contact us. You can send me a message. You can contact us, put your name, email, and then you can send me your message, and it will come as an email. You can even ring me. I put my phone number there. I don't have a problem if you ring me. And then we can chat about it. All right? Oh, good. So thank you very much, guys. And I hope to see you next Sunday, 8:30 p.m. Brisbane time. And we're going to talk about another subject related to the engineering qualification validation here in Australia. Thank you, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.